We've reviewed Golf many times, but this time it's the Golf Wagon. Unlike the hatch, this wagon comes in just two trim levels, the Golf and the Golf Life, of which this is one. And certainly from the front, it appears just to be a normal old Golf. But here, from the B-pillar back, this is all wagon. And you know, much as I like wagons, I can't fall in love with the back of this one like I did the hatch. I think it looks absolutely brilliant. This, on the other hand, not quite so brilliant. But it's still got the LED lights and the rather smartly designed lower grille. I think this looks great. And also in the sun, this acidy, lemony, greeny yellow in metallic. It's a premium colour and I think it looks brilliant. And there's a couple of other differences too. The Golf symbol isn't used to unlock it. There's a little tab down under here. But just in case you're feeling lazy, as long as the key's in your pocket, you can use the kick to open feature, which is jolly handy in car parks, let me tell you. And inside, the cover has a 2-position open so that you can cover up your gear. Also comes standard with this separator that you can install between the front passenger area and the rear cargo area. The rear is full of clever storage solutions with little bins and boxes, and the spare tyre lives under the back floor. It is just a space saver though. And this is one of those clever 2-level floors, so you can have it sitting flush up here resting on this, or you can have it as I've got it down on the bottom level. There's tie down points here, and over in the front, a 12-volt outlet, which is handy for fridges and what have you. Plus you can lower the second row seats from these little tabs in the back. Also in that area is a bag hook. The seats go down 60-40 and there's a clever little ski hatch in the middle. And if you're coming back from your shopping trip with a big heavy load in your pocket, as you get closer, Golf will unlock for you automatically. The mirrors unfold and the doors are ready, including the tailgate and the back door. One thing that drives me bananas is cars that unlock just the driver's door and you can't change it, or if you do change it, it doesn't stay changed. There's the shark fin at the top and this little bit of an overlay here over the back window with the middle brake light. And the thing that I like is that there's a really good centre armrest. It's nice and wide. And at the back of the front armrest, there's some obligatory vents and a 3rd row of air conditioning. But I'm not all that fussed on this upholstery. I mean, it's not awful. It just feels and looks a bit cheap considering that this is the Golf Life, so it's the top model. They only come in 2. Vision past the front rest is pretty good. Got a couple of grips. And here are a couple of those holes that I told you about. You can fit them here or back there, and that's for that cargo separation device. Very, very handy if you don't want things flying around the cabin. And one thing I would like to say about Golf, something that really disappoints me, and that is they've cheaped out a bit on the plastic in the back. It's a little bit scratchy and it doesn't need to be. This isn't a cheap car. The front, I think, is more of a success. There's a Qi wireless charger for my phone. And really the only thing that is missing from the Golf we tested a while back, which was the GTI, is this 4th zone here, which is where the drive mode control normally lives. But nonetheless, I don't think this is too bad. Down here is the stop-start button. Come on, start that air conditioning. You can hear my phones come on. It's charging the mobile device. Oh, now that's the other thing. This has FM and AM radio, but no DAB. So I've got my favourite DAB channel streaming on my mobile. This has wireless Apple CarPlay, which I like a lot. So it's got the large 12-odd inch display in front of the driver and another one over here in the center console. And you have to get to climate by pressing the climate button. And oddly, you can get smart climate, where you can just say, you know, warm my feet, warm my hands, cool my feet, fresh air, or classic climate. Seems like a bit of overkill to me. And for some strange reason, I have to keep pressing sync. I'm not quite sure why that is. I don't know if it's intentional. But to get to most of the car functions, you'll need to press the Volkswagen symbol. And now we're back in the main part of the menu. It is fast to respond, and I do like it, but for some reason I seem to like other controls, auxiliary controls, down here where I can easily get at them. This is the assist system, and that's the IQ.Drive, which we'll talk about later. Now I'm just going to pop it in reverse. I'm going to chuck a Yui. The camera is very clear, but it's a little stuttery. The first cab off the rank is the astonishingly good fuel consumption, which for me has been 5.6 litres per 100 kilometres. For most of the time now it was around 5.2. Then we get to the ride. One of the things in the bump that Volkswagen has made a big deal of is the fact that the opposition in the same price bracket are making do with lesser suspension, live axles or whatever. But this has independent suspension all round, multi-links one assumes, and some McPherson's at the front. And this story is really not about the Golf Wagon, it's about R Wagons, a good alternative to an SUV. Well, I'm here to tell you most SUVs do not drive like this. Some of them do, most of them don't. This is just a joy. The suspension is really, really soft, and I mean really soft, but it corners brilliantly. And all of this with no fancy active stuff, a little bit of brake, dab on the brake, it's just brilliant. I simply cannot understand why people have this obsession with SUVs unless they need the space. And if you do need the space, I put it to you, this wagon is more practical than most SUVs on the market, which now have those silly sloping backs. Another thing, which is remarkable, is that Volkswagen seems to have moved away from its DSG gearboxes, the double clutch gearboxes. This has an ACEN automatic. It's an 8-speed, normal old torque converter automatic, and it is as smooth as silk. As with all Volkswagens, the audio controls are across the bottom for back and forward and volume. So that's at thumb level, and they're the ones you're going to use most often. And up top are other controls, like, for example, the view for this screen, very handy. So I can change them to other views should I want. There's the voice control button as well, but I'd rather just use Siri. The buttons for the lights are over on the right-hand side of the driver, and they're more of those they look like touch buttons, but they're not, they're actual physical buttons. And the other thing, I don't know if you can see it from over there, but there's a little window down here to make this pillar not so thick. If I turn on the highway assist button, it's now activated everything for me. The travel assist is activated, the active steering is active, the active cruise control is switched on, and unlike many other brands, this cruise control does a really good job downhill. It won't let the car run away from you. Other brands, Toyota, will let the car just go as fast as it likes, and all it does is change down gears. This seems to brake. But a friend rang me and asked me what car she should buy, and she said most of the cars that I've driven don't have a footrest. And I thought, well, every car I've driven over the last 30 years has had a footrest. But she meant a footrest on the right side, on the accelerator side. I thought I hadn't really noticed any cars that have a footrest, so that when you've got your active cruise control going, you can put your foot on the footrest and move it over only when you need to. Golf has it, something that I've never noticed before. So at night, the thing to consider is this. The steering wheel buttons and all the other major controls are fully backlit, and I can see them all without having to look, except for the air conditioning and volume controls for the audio system and the climate control. That drives me bananas. You can see they're along here. The only thing that I can see is the on-off button. Now why, if they've got that backlit, don't they backlight the others? And is it preferable to a hatch? Well, look, here's the hatch. I think it's as handsome as the hatch, it drives as well as the hatch. I think the choice is really up to you, but as customers continue to walk away from passenger cars in droves, maybe the passenger car is doomed. But above all, hit like, leave a comment, and there to subscribe.